Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Hi everybody, welcome to the garage. Peter Clayton is right there behind the camera. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. It was Bill Clinton who said, "It's the economy, stupid." And I think it went a long way to helping him win the election. It resonated. It's the economy, stupid. The Treasurer, along with Labour luminaries, have, I don't think attacked is too strong a word, attacked the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, which of course is rubbish. They, the RBA, is responding to what government policies have created. They are just doing their job. Look, it's this simple. When the economy is racing ahead, booming, interest rates are high. But they're high to slow it down. Put the brakes on. When the economy is on its knees, interest rates are low to try and get it going. Interest rates at the moment are the levers used by the Reserve Bank to adjust the pace of growth. But when you have Labor spending, as we have, and as they have been doing for some time, it's similar to throwing fuel on a fire, the fire of inflation, which is what the RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, is tasked to control. Fundamental to all of this is the fact that neither Jim Chalmers, Katie Gallagher, Stephen Jones has any economic qualifications. Not one economic degree in charge of Treasury or finance departments. I'm not surprised that they're having trouble understanding what's going on. Getting back to basics seems to be very difficult for this government. They can't stop spending, as I mentioned to you yesterday. Spend. Electricity is a huge multiplier in the economy, multiplier of cost. It affects everything, the cost of everything. And because of their obsession with alternatives, they have willfully driven up the cost of electricity and therefore the cost of living. The cost of living did not go up by itself, which caused the RBA to keep the interest rates relatively high. The media refuses to put the blame where it belongs. That is the job of the media. Or at least ask the perpetrators to explain their policies. It's no coincidence that these terrible economic growth figures, the GDP,
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
National accounts. These figures are the worst since 1991, when Paul Keating was in charge. Treasurer Jim Chalmers did his PhD thesis on Paul Keating. Hardly the world's greatest treasurer. And Jim cut his political teeth at the feet of Wayne Swan. As I said, it's the economy, stupid. So there you've got it. There we have it. The trifecta of terrible treasurers. Keating, Swan and Chalmers. As Bob Dylan said, you know this, Pete. When will they ever learn?
Oh, yes.
When will they ever learn?
Never, I suspect.
Well, Bob, the left will never learn. Bob Dylan, they've never really had a job in their lives. I mean, you know what I mean, not a real job. They've got no experience. They don't live in the real world. The Canberra bubble is so far removed from the world that you and I live in, it's just unbelievable. Have you ever wondered why healthcare is so expensive? It wasn't always, you know. I can remember. It became unaffordable back in 1972 when Gough Whitlam was elected. It's time. Oh yes. Yes, it's time. With much media hoopla, God knows what. Labor with its socialised medical scheme, Medicare, you know, Medicare Mark 1, it was supposed to help us. It turbocharged and created an industry, a massive profit centre. What was a profession, the medical profession, became a business. It's a bit like the universities are today. With medicine, they said, well, the patient doesn't pay. Wonderful. It was the government who paid, but hang on, that's us. The government doesn't have any money. The medical industry was born. We, or Labor more correctly, we allowed it, but Labor destroyed what worked fabulously well. They, that's Labor, fixed a problem that didn't even exist. A bit like climate change today and renewables. I think back and I know general practice worked well. Hospitals worked well. The specialties all worked well. There was never a queue or a problem or ramping. I was there. Some of you watching this, some of you were there. Now, I know we can't unscramble the omelette. But now they want to get into dentistry. Socialised dentistry. Let's get dentistry into Medicare. Yeah. Where is the problem? No one ever says in the media, hey, what's the problem you're trying to fix? Do we have a lot of people who can't afford to go to the dentist? When I was growing up, there was a thing called the dental hospital. I remember it well. It was just there near Central Railway Station in Sydney. And anyone who didn't have a dentist or couldn't afford to go to a dentist could go to the dental hospital and was looked after expertly. Worked well. Perfect. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Labor wants to spend $40 billion to make dental care free. Oh, dental care free, but hang on, that's what you said about health care. No. Number one, we pay in the first place as taxpayers, so it's not free. And then we pay again with the co-payment from the doctor. Nothing is free. All the government is doing is turbocharging our cost of living. Will you please remember that? They are turbocharging our cost of living, and they're doing it with our money. The question is, are you going to re-elect this nonsense? They tell me that's sort of 50-50 at the moment, Liberal and Labor, 50-50. I think the worst thing, the very worst thing, is that these socialists mean well. Look, I know it. They mean well, but they're stupid. As I've often said to you, over and over again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You don't want stupid people running the show. You know about Bill Shorten and his cushy job, $1.2 million a year in academia. And he's going to leave behind the NDIS. I would love to get Bill Shorten on the program. I'd love to get him to explain, as I was talking to you yesterday, how he could possibly justify employing 400,000 people to run the NDIS when there are only 600,000 people in the disabilities sector.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Amazing. David Spears, the former leader of the Liberal Party here in South Australia, wants the state Liberal Party to be put into administration. I think he said this on the ABC. I wasn't listening, but somebody told me. Okay, he lost his job. I sort of know what that feels like. He blames the Conservatives in his party. I thought the whole party was Conservative. I think he's a sore loser. David, you're a sore loser. I don't think he could have won an election. And yes, he's angry that he got the boot. I can understand that. But he never should have had the job in the first place. I think they've got to get rid of the factions in the Liberal Party. I know the factions are in the Labor Party, but that's so ingrained in their DNA, I don't think you can get rid of that. But the Liberal Party is a Conservative party. If you're a wet or a wet or a moderate, join the Labor Party. Start your own party. How can I say it? The Liberals should unite around their core values. United you stand, divided you fall. And a long-standing quote from John Howard, of course, is that I'm not a member of the Liberal Party, we, he said, are a broad church. Well, I agree, and that's good. Different opinions. Contest of ideas. But here is an old biblical quote, another one. A house divided against itself cannot stand. At the moment, they need strong leadership. Otherwise, the Liberal Party is simply doing the job of its opponents. A shameful demonstration of where this government's policies have taken us. I see Last week, when Professor Plimer was with us on the show around the dining room table, 9 to 12, jeremycordeaux.com, we brought it up. I didn't get any phone calls about it. I thought I would. Port Kembla, which is in New South Wales, they're about to open this country's first gas import terminal. We need to import gas? It's another Twiggy Forrest venture. We are one of the biggest gas producers and exporters in the world. But now we are preparing for a shortage of gas. How in God's name could that be? 2 words, ladies and gentlemen. Government policy. After 7 years, a long time, we have the results of the Grenfell Tower disaster in London. The inquiry. Turned up a lot of incompetence, corruption and greed. 72 people killed. Died, totally preventable, unnecessary. It'll be years before any charges are laid, but my bet is that they will never be laid. But here's the kicker. There are still thousands of buildings in Britain with the very flammable cladding we're talking about. And you know what? They are still selling and installing the stuff. There is no attempt to ban this lethal, flammable, combustible cladding. Believe it or not. You know why? Somebody's come up with this. Climate change. Climate change. This cladding has insulating properties which outweighs the potential or actual danger. Oh, God save us. For years there's been speculation that prolonged, not even prolonged use, well, I've heard fairly dramatic accounts of why we shouldn't be holding a mobile phone to our ear. But there's always been that speculation that using a mobile phone could cause brain cancer. The World Health Organization has, after looking at this for years, you probably have heard, they've decided that there is no connection whatsoever. Have I got time for one more, Pete? I was listening with interest to Jeff Kennett on 3AW. It was last week, Tuesday afternoon, I think. He was furious with the awarding of an Order of Australia on the King's Birthday Honours list to Dan Andrews, a man who has run up an extraordinary state debt for Victoria. Look, you can't give an Order of Australia for just doing your job. Not that running up state debt was his job, but you understand what I mean. Basically, what I'm saying is he did his job badly, and even on that pretext, you would not give him an Order of Australia. It is given for things over and above, things in the community, things that you're not paid for, exemplary public service, not vandalism. This award is devised for that purpose, to incentivize people to go out and do good community things. It's going to annoy a lot of recipients and citizens alike, I would think. It's a problem. The red T-shirt public servants, you remember that? The Commonwealth Games. Apparently we're paying for the Glasgow Commonwealth Games, or the Victorian taxpayer is. Debt, COVID lockdowns, the waste, the indulgence, the cronies, the unions. If there are still people who will vote for this sort of crap, I despair. I'll go further. I think the country's got no future if we can't sort the wheat out from the chaff, for God's sake. So let me say a little thing here about one of our sponsors, which is the Rising Sun Inn, Kensington Road, just off Kensington Road, Bridge Street, Kensington Road. If you're going up from the city, not far out of the city, and over Portrush Road, you get to, on your left, Bridge Street. Go down there and you'll see this lovely 1845 tavern, inn, pub. In fact, it's been named the best pub in South Australia, which is a wonderful accolade. Handmade bricks, beautiful timber, wonderful. It's got the best of the old world and the best of the new world, because they've got a great kitchen, a great cellar, a great staff, and great management. Talk to Grant if you want a nice, intimate dinner or lunch for two, or you want to have a function, christening, wedding reception, product launch, doesn't matter. The Rising Sun Inn is a fantastic venue for whatever it is that you're planning, be it a celebration or a get-together, whatever. Have a talk to Grant.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
I will just tell you some birthdays and then leave you in peace. Here in the Court of Public Opinion. Oh, for God's sake, yes, of course. I should have mentioned it earlier, shouldn't I? September 11. 2 passenger planes hijacked by Al-Qaeda terrorists crashed into the New York World Trade Center towers, causing the collapse of both and the death of 2,606 people. 2001 was the year. I remember. We will all remember. Best we do not forget. 1946, the first mobile long-distance car-to-car telephone conversation. On this day in 1946. Hell, Pete!
That's a surprise.
Took a while to get here. The first singing of Stephen Foster's "Oh Susanna," Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 1847. Oh Susanna, don't you cry for me. All of that. The first electric telegraph was used. Merchants Exchange, San Francisco to Port Lobos, California, 1853 on this day. The first electric telegraph. And we here in Australia weren't far behind getting our telegraph wires up and the Morse key clicking. Australian newspaper The Sun News Pictorial is founded, predecessor for the Sun, Herald Sun of Melbourne, 1922 was the year. This was the day. Roger Hargraves, English author and illustrator of children's books. Caroline insisted I do this. I'd never heard of Mr. Men and Little Miss, but he dies of a stroke at 53 in 1988. Roger Hargraves, you heard of him?
No.
No. I'm here to help. Harry Connick Jr., American pop and jazz singer, pianist. We Are in Love. When Harry Met Sally, Will and Grace, TV personality, American Idol. Born in New Orleans in Louisiana in 1967. God, that's when I started in radio. Mystery writer Agatha Christie, 39, weds archaeologist Max Mallowan. He was 26. 1930. D.H. Lawrence, English poet and writer, Lady Chatterley's lover, was born 1885 on this day. Enid Blyton publishes the 5 on a Treasure Hunt. 5 on a Treasure Hunt Island. First of the famous 5 children's novels. Starts one of the best-selling children's series ever known. 100 million books sold Enid Blyton, wow. 1942. The French blue gem, later known as the Hope Diamond, is stolen with other French crown jewels from the royal storehouse in Paris during a reign of terror, of which they have had many in France. 1792. Australia invades New Britain, defeating a German contingent there. In 1914, 1297, the Battle of Stirling Bridge. Scottish rebel William Wallace defeats the English. Well, I guess that's not single-handedly. Must have had a few with him. It's enough to lift your kilt. A stolen Vincent van Gogh painting, The Parsonage Garden, is returned in an IKEA bag to an art detective in 2023. What's an art detective, I wonder? Okay. All right. Renee Geyer, Australian singer. It's a man's world. Stares and whispers. Born in Melbourne on this day in 1953. I'll give you one more if I can find one interesting one here. 1970, the Ford Motor Company introduces its first North American compact model. It was called the Pinto. Have you heard about the Pinto, Pete?
Well, I know of it.
Well, apparently it used to burst into flames. A bit like an electric car, but a bit ahead of its time, you might say. Oh, Lordy. Thank you very much for being with us, and I do invite you to join us on Friday, 9 o'clock till 12, jeremycordeaux.com, around the dining room table, where we've got guests, we've got fun, we've got phone calls, and hopefully we have you in the court of public opinion. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux. Peter Clayton and I'll be back with another Facebook posting Tuesday and Wednesday next week, and the podcasting, thanks to Andy Martin, during the week as well. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.